So today I wanted to talk about three words that are very important to me: mind, body, and spirit. And the reason these three words are important to me is because they're what you can build yourself off of. Three simple words to remember, but to keep you focused, to build, and to be better. And how do you do that? You form a triangle. And this triangle looks something like this. Don't mind my, beautiful images right here. But you got your mind, got your body, and you got, most importantly, your spirit. And why it's important to envision it like a triangle is think of these lines like connections, like supports, like your brain has connections in it to build and stuff. Think of it like that. Say, you get a little lazy, you skip a few weeks in the gym, I don't know, you start eating a little more unhealthy foods. This starts to get severed right there. You lose these connections. You still have your mind and your spirit to support. Maybe you read some verses and God's showing you, hey, get back in the gym, or take care of your body because your body is my temple, says the Lord. So, this starts to get built back up. Your mind, I don't know, maybe your friend starts to motivate you and you start thinking about it. How, okay, you know what? I do need to get back in the gym. I do need to get back. Maybe it's calisthenics, or maybe it's just a light run. Maybe it's even walking. Walking is great for you. And you build those connections back up, and you build your body, and you get yourself a little bit stronger. But there's also times when maybe all the connections are severed. Maybe everything is just AWOL. Maybe you just have I don't know. Maybe it's just your spirit. Maybe it's just your body. Maybe it's just your mind. And you don't know what to do. And that's tough. We live in a world where you get instant satisfaction from your phone. You search up exactly what you want. You watch your 30-second videos. So there's a lot of attention grabbing out here, and it takes our attention away from what's important, which is this. I think it's a lot easier than it was 100 years ago in many ways, but also a lot harder. And I think the phone or technology has made things many times easier and many times harder. So we're battling different things, but overall, it's the same battle we've been battling for thousands of years since Christ and before Christ. But how do we reattach these connections? How do we mend these spots? Well, you just got to do it. I know 1,000 videos telling you just do it, like Nike says, or just start, or just. But how do we just start? That's what I'm asking myself. How do we get out of that lazy attitude, where, oh, man, my alarm goes off, but I had a long day at work, so I don't really need to go to the gym, or, I don't know, I've already read the Bible at church Sunday. I don't need to read it Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, I can wait a few more days, right? It's a daily battle. You got to start it every day. You can't just start it one day. You got to start it every day. This battle is to keep these working. You got to study every day. What's the most basic example you can come up with? School. If you don't study, if you don't research, you will never get a good grade, right? Occasionally, maybe you all cram it in at the very last minute, but, overall, if you study and prepare, you keep those connections good, right? 2 + 2 = 4. You study that all day long. You're going to know that off the top of your brain. In the gym, you go consistently, at least maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you will start to see progress. You run 2 or 3 times a week, you will start to see progress. You read the Bible, maybe it is starting off 3 times a week, but, maybe you gradually grow. Maybe you start to lead some Bible studies. Maybe you start to get it to daily. That will grow. So as you can see, the term daily is used a lot, but that's how you grow, is daily. You can't grow by weekly or monthly, like once a month, I pull out my Bible. That doesn't grow anything. You'll have, 29 other days where you're slacking off, where your mind's not focused. But if you work on these things, if you focus, they will work together and they will become something powerful. Because the triangle is the strongest shape. It's a scientifically proven fact, right? That's why our bridges have triangles on the side of it, truss, buildings, all the framework. Just think of that same framework as physical in your brain. Think of it this spiritual connection of a triangle. That if you work on these three things, because God didn't just give you a mind for nothing, right? He didn't give you a body for nothing, right? He didn't give you a mind to just scroll on YouTube, right? YouTube didn't even exist back then. He didn't give you a body to sit on a couch back then, right? God gave you those things to work with, to use, to make stronger so that you become better because he wants to see you grow. That's what he wants to see. I obviously think spiritually is the most important thing, but if you're lacking in the other two areas, if you're lacking in mind and body, you can just go ahead and forget about your spirit because you can't take care of your spirit if you're not taking care of everything else, right? Say giving a sermon. Say a preacher is giving a sermon and they're talking about, talking about going out there and preaching the word and, very basic example, but going out there, reading scripture and teaching the word to people. How can you do that without a good mindset? How can you do that without studying the Bible, You go talk to someone about Christ and they ask you questions, but you're like, I don't know, or I don't know. Exactly, like you don't have answers to it. Now, obviously, we can't have all the answers, but we should be prepared, right? How can you go out and minister if you yourself don't even look like the part? Obviously, I don't believe that like clothes and your body determine everything, but just like a sports car, it shows how strong an engine could be. So does your body, and the things you wear show what you could be or what you are. If I'm super skinny and I don't eat at all, well, people are just going to assume that I'm malnourished, obviously, basic stuff. If I eat all the time and I look fat, people are going to assume I'm unhealthy. If people don't see you acting unhealthy, how can they think that Christianity is healthy? If they see if they see you act healthy, being healthy, you think healthily, you push those suicidal thoughts out, you pick something up and you work it till it's finished and you don't just put it down, with your mind. You stick with something, whether it's running, whether it's, reading a book. When they see that, they see, okay, maybe there's more to this person. Maybe they have something that I could have that's desirable. And what is that? That's God. But, I know not everyone is Christian or, is like that. However, you can still, maybe your spirit is working for, for the better of whatever. Whatever it is you follow. I hope that one day you'll follow God. But you can still take benefit from this. We all have faith in something. There's no doubt about that. Atheists, Christians, Buddhists, there's faith in something. Whether it's yourself, money, people, most importantly, God. This triangle can build up all those things if you work it. You'll never find a job if you never look. Using your mind. You'll never be stronger if you never work. You'll never be better in the faith if you never read or work. It's all work. And when people say you just got to start, it truly is. You do just got to start. But it's not just starting then. It's starting every day when the new day starts. It's waking up maybe at an earlier time than you usually would, going to the gym. And guess what? When you go to the gym and you pump that muscle when you're so tired, that pumps blood and that builds your mind. And your mind is sharper and it thinks better and you're strong-minded for the day to come. So you better resist temptation, and you better focus on your work. It's a proven fact. So guess what? That and this help build this, your Christianity, your faith. So reading the Bible. How many times does the Bible say to have faith and push forward, to be obedient? Well, God says, be obedient to him. Be obedient to his word. And what does he say? To work, to be consistent, to pick up the cross daily. And pick up the cross daily builds this and this. When you study the Bible, when you work on it, guess what? You're using your mind, and that builds this and this. So anytime you build one, it helps build the other two. And when you're building them all together, this builds a strong formation that the devil cannot get at you with, that he can't break these connections. When he tries to sever, any one of these, it makes it almost impenetrable fortress. But also, you got to be careful. Say, I'm working on a lot of things, but there's just tiny little, weak spot right here. I don't know, maybe it's a rope. It's just, it's holding on by, a thread. Like you got this little thread right here. Just holding on. I'm keeping it connected, but, I'm allowing other things to enter. That's not how it works. That is completely severed. That won't last. We got to build these connections whole, and we got to stick to it firmly. So you got to do it day in and day out, because if you don't, these will fall apart, and your house or whatever you build will break. It will tumble down to the ground harder than anything you've ever seen. That's what happens in life. It's bound to happen, because we obviously can't do it all three of them perfectly at the same time. Maybe it's having other people to help you with this. And guess what? In a building, it's not just one triangle, right? That wouldn't make sense. You have multiple. You have supports. You have supporting triangles. I don't know, maybe this is your friend. He's helping you with these areas right here. Maybe it's your brothers, your sisters, your mom, dad, grandparents. I don't know. Maybe it's whatever you see it as. But triangles aren't also strong alone. They're strong together. That's why you see buildings with, it's not just built out of one triangle, right? That's stupid. The truss, the walls, they're lined with steel truss with multiple triangles, multiple people working together. That's why it's important to have groups, to have people you can talk to, people you can work with, people that when they see you, you're like, I kind of didn't go to the gym, they see you're kind of skipping out on that stuff, and they're like, hey friend, I see you kind of missing out in this area. How about we go together tomorrow or today at 3 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon? I don't know, whenever it is you're free. Those help you build this triangle back up together, because you need to have people with you, because it's almost impossible to do it by yourself, right? You need God, number one, and then secondly, you need people too. God gave people to help each other grow. Iron sharpens iron. Man, that's how a blacksmith sharpens their sword, So, I just want, hopefully, whoever watched this video, to take this and remember this triangle, and to draw it out in their own lives, and to find the people that are triangles themselves, and that can help build them stronger. And to remember the 3 important things: mind, body, and spirit. Because you can't take care of yourself or you can't take care of others if you can't take care of yourself. So remember, work on it through God, and then help other people too. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a blessed day. Mind, body, and spirit.